Although the development of agriculture and livestock farming spread across almost the entire planet, civilization only continued its prodigious dynamism in some areas where the development of large, homogeneous communities was possible. The first and most robust of these agricultural states was located on the banks of the Nile, where technology, ideas, and the arts were also more powerful than in any other region on the planet. In pre-dynastic Egypt, around 3300 BC, during the reign of Horus Scorpion, Breezy once again encountered the magician Merlot, the same man who had given him the no less mysterious scarab Khepri. Merlot called himself Hotep, high priest of the Temple of On, the main seat of the cult of the sun god Ra. The priest Hotep possessed some ancient papyri with a strange syllabic script, identical or very similar to the one used by the scarab Khepri to communicate with Breezy. Those ancient papyrus, which formed a fabulous scroll several meters long, belonged to a warlike civilization of extraterrestrial origin that was swallowed by the sea due to conflict with the Olympian gods. These aggressive colonizers would be known as the Khetonians or Atlanteans. The content of the papyri was based on the immutable universal laws of sacred geometry, also related to the intergalactic confederation of the Space Brothers and closely related to the Orion constellation, as well as to the construction of the enigmatic Sphinx and its impenetrable tunnels and galleries. The papyrus scroll, divided into several sections and profusely illustrated with architectural drawings and plans, stored invaluable information in various fields of knowledge, mentioning in great detail the precession of the equinoxes and solstices, and the equinoctial cycle, cosmic cycle, or great year, with an approximate duration of 26,000 years. Another section illustrated in exquisite detail the three-dimensional geometric figures engraved on the adamantine Chiron's cube, explaining its geometric, cosmic, mystical, symbolic, and aesthetic nature. There was also a section dedicated to the third eye, related to the mysterious pineal gland and the flower of life, which acts as an encoder of the message of light, hence the understandable worship of the Sunday. Another section, perhaps the most philosophical, spoke of the divine spark, as well as the connection with universal consciousness and the search for enlightenment. With these fabulous papyri, Hotep had founded the first mystery school, which already had many disciples, most notably Princess Nefer, daughter of the king. According to what the magician Hotep told Breezy, the scroll was under a powerful enchantment, which refused to allow its scrolls to be separated. Anyone who attempted to separate them would inevitably be cursed. Thanks to the artistic skills of the magician Hotep, the coveted papyri were protected in a carved cylindrical silver case, always safely stored. These magical papyri would later be known as the Book of Thoth, the god of wisdom, patron of scribes, the arts, and the sciences. The first priests of ancient Egypt created a very interesting religious syncretism with their extensive pantheon of gods, which barely evolved over its millennia-long history. Many of these gods were born as protective deities of the first nomes or cities, deities represented with human bodies and the heads of other animals. It is worth noting the religious syncretism of the goddesses Isis and Hecate, both in their role as powerful sorceresses, who were regulars at the mystery school founded by Hotep. As had happened before, the magician acted as an impartial mediator between Breezy's duties and the whims of the willful Hecate, who was also associated with Hecate, a frog-headed goddess. Khepri, in his mysterious relationship with the magician Hotep, would prove to be an unequivocal reference for the creation of the artistic scarab, a very popular amulet of ancient Egypt. The sacred scarab would also become one of the manifestations of the sun and a symbol of the constant transformation of existence. After the reunion with the magician Merlot, Breezy met with his family at the Palace of Thrace and decided to build a camp in the city of Nasian, on the banks of the Nile, where the brave Horus Scorpion ruled as king and lord. The horses Xanthus and Balius would remain behind to perform other functions, since horses were unknown in ancient Egypt at that time, and they did not want to attract attention in the city. They could be present later. The first to leave were the Anemoi, Zephyrus, Breezy's father, and his uncles Boreas, Euro, and Noto. They were tasked with building a spacious multi-room dwelling out of adobe bricks, some of which would be used to create a simple artisan workshop. After the camp was completed, and dressed in Egyptian fashion, they occupied the new compound as a family, and began to interact with the inhabitants of the coastal city, primarily with children of Breezy's contemporaries. It is unknown how the magician Hotep found out, but he soon appeared at the primitive school workshop created by Breezy and his group, with many items necessary for providing the education of the time. Among them, expensive royal papyri, a risky decision since the production of the writing aid was royal property, a large jar of ink, different types of quills, and other various utensils. He also brought Breezy a Senate game, which he himself had made with precious lapis lazuli stones. They quickly learned the rules. Breezy and the beetle Khepri became expert Senate players and faced the magician Hotep in memorable matches. The first children Breezy met and invited began to frequent the house, aided by the charm of the intuitive and protective cat Cypress, the shiny beetle Khepri, and Chiron's cube, which Breezy regularly handled. The children brought their parents, and they brought other neighbors, and soon the headquarters became an educational center, something like the origin of the House of Life. Cyprus achieved great notoriety among the city's inhabitants, helping many farmers clear their barns and warehouses of rats and mice, as well as saving more than one child from a snake bite. In other roles, Cypress the cat unleashed her artistic talents, teaching children to draw hieroglyphics with the tip of her tail. Over time, cats became popular as pets, thanks to the adventures of the blue-tailed cat. Princess Nefer, now in close contact with Breezy and his efficient group and advised by Chloris, goddess of fragrances and flowers, opened what is known as the first house of Generet in the royal palace, where the ladies of the court were educated in various social aspects, especially in music and dance, learning to play the harp, the lute, and the flute. Another important activity in the institution was the making of robes and the production of beauty and grooming utensils, as they had pottery, weaving, and carpentry workshops. The rector of the respected institution, under the command of Princess Nefer, was granted the title of Shepset, or the Venerable, and the other women belonging to the nobility began to be known as royal ornament. Breezy and her friends were invited by Hotep, who also served as Chatty, to the fortress of King Horus the Scorpion, where the first of several meetings took place. Another important event to which they were invited by the priest Hotep was a visit to the astronomical observatory, located atop the stone tower that formed part of the high priest's chamber in the Temple of On. There they had the opportunity to witness the heliacal rising, or reappearance, of the star Sirius, very important to the Egyptians because it heralded the annual flooding of the Nile River before the summer solstice and after an absence of 70 days from the night sky. Accompanied by the charismatic magician, they also visited the imposing Sphinx on the Giza Plateau, entering through an opening near its tail and exploring its tunnels and galleries, eventually passing through. During this period, and with the help of Breezy and his skilled collaborators, Hotep built the first nilometer on Elephantine Island, a stepped stone well, to measure the level of the Nile. Shipyards were built in the city of Abydos, where the first royal and religious vessels would be built, along with formidable passenger and cargo ships, a very important step since transportation in the Nile Valley was primarily by river. The Anemoi took the opportunity to teach sailors how to harness the power of the wind. For the development of shipbuilding, the magician Hotep manufactured pitch, or tar. With it, they were able to caulk wood joints. This wood was exported through coastal cities like Ugarit and Byblos via coastal shipping in the nascent and important trade of the Eastern Mediterranean. Hotep also produced various cosmetics and glazed faience for the creation of amulets, small statuettes, and other decorative objects. However, what Breezy and his group admired most about this display of cultural and scientific development in the nascent Egyptian civilization was the respect, tolerance, and equality of women and men before the law. One of the descendants of King Horus the Scorpion was Prince Narmer, who from the age of 5 was a disciple in the House of Life, becoming an outstanding and skilled scribe and a brave warrior. His good qualities led him to become the first pharaoh of ancient Egypt and the founder of the first dynasty, unifying the entire Nile Valley under his rule and founding the strategic city of Memphis. The first and second dynasties of Egyptian pharaohs descended from Narmer were known as the Archaic period, with their capital in Thinis, the city where Narmer was born. Hence, it is also known as the Thanitic Age. At the end of the Archaic period, and during the beginning of the reign of its last pharaoh, Khasekemui, Imhotep was born. The Fates, who govern the destinies of gods and mortals, appeared at the palace of Thrace and revealed to Breezy details about the birth of the blessed child in the city of Memphis, already emerging as the economic center of the kingdom. Breezy, with the best wishes to help the child, once again entrusted the Anemoy with the construction of a camp in Memphis, where a new House of Life would be located.